This is Benjamin for Kids First. I want to start with, you've both worked on movies that integrate animated characters into a live action world. What about that format most fit? What about that format fit Clifford?
Well, it's interesting because dealing with live action and CG presents kind of its own challenges. And when you have source material that's, kind of based on line drawings and stuff like that, when the decision was made to go live action, you could have gone all animated. But for us, as soon as, the studio was leaning into the live actionness of it, we felt it was really important to bring Clifford into a world where he was a living, breathing red dog, instead of just taking sort of a cartoon representation of Clifford into a live action world, which, our suspension of disbelief, I always thought was, he's a red dog and he's going to get big. So that was the buy-in. And it didn't feel like we wanted to have a third buy-in, which is, here's a cartoon character now all of a sudden existing in a live action environment in New York. And we think it made for a more kind of this wonderful throwback, magical realism type of film, some of the greats, that I grew up loving.
And I would add to that bringing Clifford into this world out of the line drawings in the books and in the cartoons, and making him photoreal in that, which is something that Walt, of course, did with Chipmunks and others. And whether for me it was Smurfs or Charlotte's Web or whatever, allows, in our case, to relate to the character of Clifford in a different way than you would in the books or in the cartoons, which is that we all have little creatures in our lives, whether they're dogs or cats or birds. We know what they feel. We have this connection between ourselves and them, and they know somehow in an uncanny fashion what we feel. And so it becomes very personalized in that way. And we needed Clifford, however he moved, and the animators, of course, working with Walt and myself, the animators had to find that behavior, which was very different for a company like MPC, who had it down, who did it in The Lion King, and who did it in the modern version of The Lion King, where it's photoreal, and Jungle Book. They knew how to make these characters look real, but the question was, could they make them the kinds of characters that we know so well, who jump up on our beds or who, chase us around the park looking to catch a ball or whatever it is, to make them look real and to show the emotions and the laughter, the comedy that they bring to us and we bring to them. It's one thing to look at a dog. It's another thing to have its wagging tail hit you in the legs. And we wanted Clifford to really feel that way, so that whether you knew the books or not, didn't matter. You were going to see this dog as something that you relate to in your own life in that way.
And I'm curious, if you got the chance to watch this movie with Norman Bridwell, the creator of Clifford, who sadly passed a few years ago, movie cuts out, what would you most want to hear? What aspect of the movie would you most want to hear his thoughts on as the lights went up?
That's probably one of the best questions we've heard today, Benjamin.
Or any day.
I appreciate it.
That's an amazing question, and it's so amazing. I'm going to let Jordan.
Well, I actually have a good answer to it, and that is what was so interesting about a movie I produced a while ago called Charlotte's Web, the movie came out on December the 10th in 2006, and the reviews for movies come out the week before or the day of the release of the movie. And somehow, near the end of January, almost 2 months later, a review came out. It was the Christian Science Monitor. And I was flabbergasted. I've never seen a review come out that late. And it was a description by the writer of the movie. She gave her review. I won't go into any detail, but she said one thing that caught me. And that one thing that caught me was her saying that she sat in the movie theater with her grandfather watching the movie the animated movie of Clifford from the Charlotte's Web, the animated movie from the 70s. And he said, they've gotten it all wrong. Hollywood has gotten it all wrong. Someday they're going to make a movie and that will be true to the rhythms of nature. And that movie and that moment will be worth the wait. And that was the title of the review. And it was the last line of the review. So I hear E.B. White's words in that. And I would love to hear Norman Bridwell's words if he could sit there with Walt and I and watch the movie together.
Well, thank you both so much for talking with me today. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you. So good to see you, Benjamin. Thank you so much. And great question.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.
You too. Thanks, Benjamin.
He eats like an animal.
He is an animal.
I'm talking about him.
What?